Hello and welcome to this Google Analytics Digital Brunch, Eugen. I'm very excited to have you here because we receive a lot of questions from our audience and we see a lot of searches on YouTube, and most of them start with why exactly do I need Google Analytics for my business, or why exactly do I need Google Analytics for my website? And I was thinking that it's good to educate the audience into this. Why do they need Google Analytics and what exactly can they get out of it?
Well, hello, and first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad that the audience started to ask this kind of questions, because until recently Google Analytics was like a scary monster because
I think it still is.
Yeah, there are a lot of numbers and things like this, but you know, when you're doing business, you need to see some numbers, because without them you can't know if you are going to the right place with your business objectives. Yeah. So regarding this, Google Analytics, I think, is a goldmine of information and insights that you can use for an online business. Basically, it tells you who is your audience, where did it get from, and how do they behave on your website. So let's say you can use it as a map that tells you where are you currently where are you coming from, and how is your road to your business objectives. And it tells you if you are on the right track, and it basically has the ability to inform your decisions on how to get to the right track, and then I don't know, accomplish your business objectives. So it's
I love this. So Google Analytics is like a map for your business.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were saying you find out information about your audience. What exactly does Google Analytics tell you about your audience?
Well, it tells you a lot of information from out of the box. So when you install Google Analytics, the first thing is really simple to install, and it gets a lot of insights about your users. But this basic install isn't all you need, because if you're getting seriously about it, you need to understand more about your users, and then you can connect to different other platforms that hold the information about your users. But from the basic install, you already have a lot of things like demographic info, age, sex, and so on. You know their location, where are they using your website, which type of device they use to navigate on your website. Even technical things like browsers they use, device models, and so on, and
like screen resolution.
Yes, things like this. And also I think a really important part of the reports that you get about the audience: are they new users on the website? Is this their first visit on the website, or are they old users that came previously on your website?
So if they're returning.
Yeah, how many times they got to your website before, what's the frequency of their visits, and so on. So this helps you understand and understand the big picture of who the users are and what is your audience, who you get to your website. So I think it's really important if you want to do an online business.
And does it really help you, like, for example, sketch your buyer persona profile?
Definitely.
Okay.
I think it's so. Just as a parenthesis to this, many people don't make a difference between reporting and getting insights from a data point of view. So many of people that I talk with sees Google Analytics as a tool that reports on something. So you got into a certain period of time, a certain amount of traffic, and what are the results. But it's much more into Google Analytics than just reporting. So reporting is just the basics, and you can use different kind of dashboards to see these things even real time. But the actual value of Google Analytics is to understand the data that you see and act upon the data. So coming back to your question, using Google Analytics audience reports is one of the best sources of information to sketch your buyer personas, and it can tell you, combined with other type of research, it can help you define a better and more accurate buyer persona. One thing is to know details and info about who are your users, but one of the most important things you can get from consulting Google Analytics reports is to understand how do they get to your website. So you can understand how well are your marketing efforts paying back into business results. So when you operate an online business, you need to invest some resources into getting your traffic.
Yeah, so you invest in marketing.
You invest in marketing, and you need to understand how well this investment is performing, where to put more money, and where to limit the spending of the resources. So Google Analytics can help you understand this, because it gathers information for all your marketing channels into one system where you can analyze the results across all channels. So this is one of the most interesting and valuable information you can get from Google Analytics to understand how your marketing channels are performing.
And you can also find out how your online marketing campaigns performed, right?
Sure, you can get deeper, you can even see and segment different reports to see how different campaigns are performing on different types of devices, or how different campaigns are performing in different areas, in different cities, countries, and so on. If you have a worldwide business, then you may find out that some of the channels work better in some countries and in other countries. So you need to understand how to work with segments and how to look at the data more than just the average metrics you see in the reports.
And exactly, I wanted to ask you, what metrics do you think are the most valuable for analyzing the marketing performance of channels and so on?
Well, eventually it all gets to the business objectives.
Yeah, so let's say you're, for example, an e-commerce website.
Yeah. If you're an e-commerce website, so you're in the business of making money, like every business. So your main goal would be to generate transactions, and to generate transactions that are that have higher revenue, and to generate transactions and convince users to come back later and make other orders.
Okay.
So this is the main objective, but if you think it's like let's say I'm trying to think about this as a little war between how to convince the user to get to this final objective. So first thing, when the user comes to the website, he needs to decide if he remains there or exits and go to another website. So for this part, a good metric to watch is the bounce rate.
Yeah.
It tells you how relevant is the website's content or for the user, or it can also tell how relevant is the ad that convinced the user to come to the website in the first place to the actual content. But it can be a little bit tricky if you don't understand how this metric is calculated, because technically it means that a session is called bounced if it contains only one page view. So it doesn't make the difference between a user that came and left in first 5 seconds, let's say, and a user that landed on the page of a blog article, let's say, and read all the info there and was really engaging with the content, and then left. So in a basic setup, both users will be considered as bouncers, but from a data analysis perspective, we do want to separate them, and we really want to consider as bouncers only users that left because they didn't find in a short amount of time something interesting for them in this report. So this is like the first fight in the battle to convince people to continue the navigation on the website. And then it all depends on which page the user landed. So if it's, for example, you said an e-commerce business and the user landed on a product page, well, what we want is for him to explore the product's info and then convince him to do a micro conversion, an important conversion in the funnel. Something like, okay, adding the product to cart could be a good micro conversion, but also maybe adding the product to favorites or to wish lists. You know, this kind of a thing shows us that the user is really interested in the product, and you need to track all these things. So this, you don't get this from just installing the basic Google Analytics code. You don't get this information on what the user did on the web page. Once you decided that the user came to the website state, so you won the fight with convincing him to stay in the website and then convince him to add to cart. Then you need to watch, for example, the next step.
Do they get to the next step?
Do they get to the next step? Like, for example, do they start the checkout process and so on? So you need to track all these micro actions until you get to the big objective that you have as a business. So I see often this misconception that we need to just look at the final result, but we need to look at every step. So if, for example, you have a marketing campaign and you see that you get a lot of users, but you don't have enough data for the transactions to decide if this campaign is good or not, because of I don't know, maybe you want to make some decisions really fast when after a few hours after launching the campaign, and you don't have enough information about how users convert in terms of actually buying
like the
products. Then you can look upper in the funnel and you can see, for example, how they engage with the page, how do they do some micro conversions. So it's really important to understand this
so the whole funnel and
yes, and to understand that you can even compare upper funnel metrics between different traffic sources to understand which is converting better.
Okay, so coming back to the metrics, so we said the bounce rate and how they engage with the content, and then the micro conversion, the conversion rate from one step to the other. Yeah?
This
So
will be
are
the main metrics, let's say the basic metrics to look at, but there are several other metrics that are interesting to watch. Even you can even configure custom metrics. For example, for an e-commerce store, you might find useful to see how are performing products with more pictures and products with less pictures.
Okay.
So maybe you can find there that an insight that products, and usually you find this, that products that have more pictures convert better than products with less pictures.
Nice, that's a nice case to
or
test.
For example, you may want to understand how products with reviews perform comparing.
If they have better conversion rate, yeah.
So you can see this, and then from this kind of insight you can generate different strategies. I often see this difference in product performance for products that have reviews and the ones that don't have. So from this you can initiate a strategy to collect more user reviews to your products to make the conversion rate better.
Okay.
Or for example, you can watch how is the internal search working, like people that get to your website and
perform an internal search.
Yes, start to search internally. So what you find usually is that people that initiate a search session are more likely to convert than people that don't initiate a search session. So this is why search is really important. Internal search on a website is really important, and you can initiate different optimization strategies to influence people to start searching and improve your search engine, internal search engine, to get them more relevant results and eventually grow the number of transactions and so on.
So Google Analytics doesn't only tell us insights about the audience and the marketing channels, but also the customer journey on my website, right?
This set of reports are, in my opinion, the most underused by people that I interact with, because usually what happens is that online businesses invest a lot of money in marketing and get the traffic into onto their website, and then just watch what it happens in terms of conversions and revenue and so on.
So the final.
But what do they do on the website? It's a thing that for example, I see like a very big priority, but this is not seen this way, but by
overlooked
marketers. Yes. Indeed. So I see a lot of opportunity here to understand what users do on the website, and where are the biggest leaks, where are the things that you can improve something so that you can get more results.
And with the same money, basically. So
yeah, you already spend the money to get the users on the website, and if you don't give them what they need, you lose them and you lose the money you spend.
And as a business, if you wanna, or as a specialist, a marketing specialist, if you wanna start learning Google Analytics, where should you start? What are some useful resources?
Google Analytics they have a Google Analytics Academy that has I think 4 courses that are really interesting and useful to start with as a foundation.
And I think they are part of the Google Skill Shop, right? The basic.
I think so, yeah. And after you do these basic courses, I think you have all that you need to just go into your Google Analytics interface for your website, and just at least half an hour or 1 hour a day to ask yourself questions that you think you can answer with data in your Google Analytics account. So the first part is to get the basic skill set you need to understand, and then the actual learning comes from experience. So if you put yourself, like maybe you put a recurring calendar slot there of half an hour a day or 1 hour a day, just to look into Google Analytics and ask yourself different questions and find the answers, then in probably, I don't know, 1 month or 2 months, you'll be much better at Google Analytics than you were before. So I think it's an efficient way to learn a new skill just by doing it.
And you also need to have something like a business or website to focus on, for sure.
Usually, yes, but Google Analytics, Google provides a demo account that has real data from their Google merchandise store. So Google has a website where they sell different products, and they make this data for the website publicly available. So you can, even if you don't have a Google Analytics account, access to some websites data in Google Analytics, you can still use this demo account to explore and learn new things.
And we were talking about this, if you want to become a specialist in analytics, but what exactly does an analytics specialist do? And how do they help you? Because there are these jobs, people who only do this. How exactly can they help your business?
Usually it's about finding insights that can inform some business decisions.
So it comes back to the goals of the business.
every
for sure.
time. Yeah. So you need to, as an analyst, you need to have some questions. These questions could be from your management team or even from yourself as a data analyst, and you need to find opportunities. So you either you are looking either for opportunities or just to inform some business decisions.
Coming back to business decisions and e-commerce, and that is, I think, is one of the most complex types of businesses in online. What would be some other use cases or insights that shop owners could test? Like you gave us that example with our products that have more pictures, do they convert more? Or what could be other use cases that they should test?
That's a good question, but it has so much, so many answers that I can just, from the top of my mind, I can recall some practical use cases. For example, you would, as an e-commerce store, you would want to track your filter usage. Like how many users use your filters, which filters are the most used, and so on, and how users behave, how people that used filters behave from people that didn't use. So every time you do these comparisons, you find a lot of insights. And usually for an e-commerce store, you find out that people that use filters tend to convert better than people that don't use filters.
Yeah, because they're more interested.
So from this you can, for example, I tried different strategies. You can use different interface optimizations to convince more people to use filters. Also, you can track, for example, different elements on the website. A practical example that I often see is that people have a lot of e-commerce websites have a lot of icons, social media icons on their product pages, like maybe even dozens of them. Like I don't know, some of the social networks I don't even know about their existence, and I think that this will help them generate more sales. But actually, those kind of elements are not used. So you can use Google Analytics to track how many people use these elements, and then make a decision to either keep them or remove them. But usually, you remove them because they are not used in the product pages usually.
You are also a specialist in user experience. Apart from Google Analytics, are there other tools that you usually recommend for online businesses to track how good the user experience is or how to optimize the conversion rate?
Definitely. I have a toolbox of different tools that I use. Google Analytics is one of the tools that I use in the first phase when I need to understand the quantity of the thing. So I need to understand where should I concentrate my efforts to understand how to what to do there to optimize this part. So for example, first thing that I do when I optimize the website is to understand where is the area that needs more optimization. So usually, for example, I found this is the product page in an e-commerce website. So then I want to understand what should I do there to optimize the experience. And for this, Google Analytics unfortunately don't answer these questions because you don't find there what are the actual user needs. So this way I use, for example, I often use different research methods that ask users on the web page what is holding them up into buying this thing. So I have an example, like I was working with an e-commerce website that sells watches, and we saw that there is an opportunity in the product page to convince more people to add products to cart. And we didn't know how to do it. So we asked, what's the reason you are not buying the product right now on the web page after a certain time, engagement period, and so on. So after this, and we got several answers, really useful. Things like, I don't know if the product is original.
Okay.
Or things like, I like the product, but I don't have the money right now. And things like this. So we then clustered these problems and brainstormed on how to solve them in the interface. So we found different solutions to different problems the user had when they were navigating on the product page. So the same
surveys.
Yeah, the same formula can be used on different pages. What I use often is do some kind of usability testing, especially when there is a new feature, and I want to understand if users know how to and understand how to use the feature. What I found really useful for optimizing the bounce rate is to use a 5-second test. You show for 5 seconds the page and then ask the user different questions, so you can understand that how do they feel about the page, if they gain trust from looking at this page, what is the main idea they got from this page, and so on. So there are a lot of tools that you can use, but there isn't a certain recipe to use how to use these tools, because you need to understand first of all where is the problem, then what is the problem, and then use the tools to get solutions to the problem, and eventually test the solution if it works or not.
So eventually you formulate some hypotheses and you test them at the end of the day.
Yes, that's right. So
like a macro.
First thing is you're looking for different problems on the website.
Yep.
Then you need to validate them with different tools. But
could you give us some examples of tools, maybe, apart from analytics?
Well, for example, you can do user interviews. You can recruit some users, call them, and have a talk with them, 15-minute talk with them.
So you don't even need tools for this.
Yeah. And well, you need some basic tools. Usually it's wise to record the call, because then you need to come back and just take notes and see how many users, what do they tell you. But from this interview session, you get a lot of insights, and you understand that what you think that your user is wants to act is different from what they really do. So it's important to put, as a researcher, to have a mindset of exploring and finding new things, and just to forget about the thing that you did before that, because you need to understand where are the real problems and which are the solutions. So these research sessions are also a good way to find some treatments to the problems.
Okay.
And of course, if you when you find this these possible treatments, and then you go to the design team and put and implement these treatments as a design deliverable, then you need to eventually implement it and test, usually with an A/B test. So you serve half of your audience, you serve one version, the original version, and the second half you serve the treatment, and you just watch for the metrics and see that if your solution solved the problem or not. But this works only if you have enough amount of traffic to have statistically significant results for this kind of tests.
What would be a significant amount of traffic? Is there like a benchmark?
It's really difficult to say a number from all of this, because you need to understand what you are going to test and how many, what's the effect you want to detect and so on. But usually for an e-commerce website, this happens when you have, for example, at least 2,000 transactions per month and at least, let's say, 200,000 visits per month. Then you can start to think about doing a couple of A/B tests on different areas of the website.
And do you need to use some special tools for A/B tests, or is any tool okay?
There are different tools for to do A/B testing. As a principle, they work very similar. I usually use Google Optimize for this because it's a really good starting tool for this kind of test. Its free version has up to 5 tests in the same time, so you can operate a lot of things. It integrates very well with Google Analytics. And you can set up there the tests and then see the results. In the optimization community, there is a lot of discussion about how those A/B testing tools really work in terms of how good is their randomization engine and how good is their statistics when evaluating test results. But this is a whole other area, really complex and really, let's say, when you start optimizing, then you should maybe explore these topics.
Okay. Coming back to people who want to learn more about analytics and user experience, and you mentioned that first they should go to the Google Analytics Academy. Are there some specialists or maybe some online trainings that you would recommend?
I found very useful courses from CXL Institute. They have they even have mini degrees. So mini degrees are like a bunch of different courses that help you understand a specific area, and they have a really good conversion optimization mini degree and even digital analytics mini degree, or also I think they have a growth marketing mini degree. So they are really good, and they get a lot of popular industry experts, each very good in his area. So those are really good courses. Regarding data analytics, you can there is, for example, Data Driven U, portal of different analytics courses, and not only, I think they have more courses from Jeff Sauer.
I also follow him.
There are a lot of resources on YouTube from Measure School. Also, there are a lot of communities on Facebook, like Google Tag Manager community, where I'm also a moderator there. And analytics communities. There's also a really interesting Slack community around the measurement. It's called Measure Slack, and it has a lot of experts on this subject.
And if you are an e-commerce business, what insights can you find out from Google Analytics about your products and their performance?
Google Analytics has a whole set of reports just for e-commerce. It's a module in Google Analytics called the Enhanced E-commerce.
A magic one.
It's a really magical one because there are a lot of information that you have regarding your e-commerce activities. So first of all, you can see, for example, a new set of shopping funnels. You can understand at a really in a few seconds you can understand how is your website, e-commerce website, how good is your e-commerce website to generate conversion starting from sessions. So you can see how many of your visits came to a product page and then added to cart and then got to the checkout process and eventually to the transaction. Also, you have a lot of insights at product level or category level or brand level, or what do you want there. So you see things like, you can see things like how many users that saw a product, added it to cart or bought it. So this is a really good place even for product, I think it's called acquisition managers. So people that decide in a company what products to list on the on the website. So you can see there and maybe unlist some products that have a lot of traffic and poor performance, and maybe see some products where with the low traffic and good performance, maybe you can put them in a campaign or send them and use them in a newsletter, or use these products to put them in face of your customers. So those I think are really important and very good reports to explore. Mm-hmm. What I also want to mention is that Google Analytics is a tool that should be used by anybody that has that has to do decisions in an e-commerce website.
But you also need to understand it.
Yeah. That's right. Yes. So it's not limited just to marketers and people that use only with digital roles, let's say. It is a tool that should be even used by CEO, CFOs, product managers, and different other roles in the companies, because this is how they inform their decision also.
Thank you, Eugen. I really didn't see anyone so passionate about analytics in a while. I think it's contagious. And I hope all our viewers. Yeah, exactly. I really hope there will be more and more marketers and business owners, and not only, who will look more and deep dive into analytics.
As a trend, I see this. I see a lot of interest in this area in the last years, and I really hope that people will understand that to make a decision, you need to back it up by some data. So in order to do this in an online environment, you need some sort of web analytics software to do this. Yeah. And Google Analytics is the most used.
Yeah, the most used.
I really hope it will take off really fast.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.